Frail, a flower given to my daughter. This one's music. Frail the white rose, and frail are her hands that gave, whose soul is sere and paler than time's one wave. Rose frail and fair, yet frailest, a wonder wild in gentle eyes, thou veilest, my blue-veined child. Isn't that a lovely one? He had some lovely poems. Is it one which mentions his son? It's beautiful. But kind of walking on the shore. I can't remember the name of it. I don't have it on hand. So how's your week been? You can tell me. You know? You can tell me. Here's another one for lockdown. This is a nice one. And yes, happy Friday. Cheers. It's been interesting. You had a sad week, an awful week. I'm sorry. Starting a new job, living in the epicenter of the pandemic. It's been mediocre. It's been strange. A lot of stranges and awfuls and bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Sinus infection. I'm sorry. I'm sending all the love out to you. To all you folks. I'm hungover, so not the best. Hey, enjoy the sadness of that hangover. It is a real, raw, vital sadness. It is living. Keeping quiet. I think this is a Neruda poem. Pablo, it is. Sorry, of course it is. Pablo Neruda. I wasn't familiar with it until recently. It's a stunner. Well, it's just, and also it's very appropriate for these few weeks, months, fucking years. Whenever lockdown began. Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fisherman in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man, gathering salt, would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. And now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. Isn't that nice? It is very nice indeed. I think I had a few in this collection I was going to pull out. So what else is new, folks? What else is new? I had some lovely love poems here in this collection. I might come back to them. It'd be a bit early in the evening for love poems, to be honest. So I'll leave that there. What do I hear? Two poems. If you're familiar with I Too by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. This is a poem I was not familiar with until recently, by Imtiaz Darker. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. They'll say she must be from another country. When I can't comprehend why when they can't bear to look, when they ban the film and gut the seats to stop the play, and I ask why, they just smile and say, she must be from another country. When I speak on the phone and the vowel sounds are off and the consonants are hard and they should be soft, they'll catch on at once, they'll pin it down, they'll explain it right away to their own satisfaction. They'll cluck their tongues and say, she must be from another country. When my mouth goes up instead of down, when I wear a tablecloth to go to town, when they suspect I'm black or hear I'm gay, they won't be surprised. They'll purse their lips and say, she must be from another country. When I eat up the olives and spit out the pits, when I yawn at the opera in the tragic bits, when I pee in the vineyard as if it were Bombay, flaunting my bare ass, covering my face, laughing through my hands, they'll turn away, shake their heads quite sadly. She doesn't know any better, they'll say. She must be from another country. Maybe there is a country where all of us live. All of us freaks who aren't able to give our loyalty to fat old fools, the crooks and thugs who wear the uniform that gives them the right to wave a flag, puff out their chests, put their feet on our necks and break their own rules. But from where we are, it doesn't look like a country. It's more like the cracks that grow between borders, behind their backs. That's where I live, and I'll be happy to say, I never learned your customs. I don't remember your language or know your ways. I must be from another country. Imtiaz Darker. Leave that there. I've loads of Seamus Heaney also. Here's a W.B. Yeats. I suppose this will ease us into the love poems if we get back there. When you are old and grey and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read the dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with loves false or true. But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face, and bending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly, how love fled and paced upon the mountains overhead, and hid his face amid a crowd of stars. I had wanted to read a Stephen James Smith poem for a while. It's a wonderful, Irish Dublin-based poet, spoken word poet, spoken word artist. It's stunning, and there's a wonderful poem actually I shared on Twitter not too long ago that he had written. It was kind of concerning the lockdown and this kind of moment of pandemic. It's a beautiful poem called Ireland, My Ireland, which is, I suppose, flows like the rivers that he comes back to throughout the poem. It's beautiful. This is from Fear Not, which is a book of his poetry. And on the bus, I just thought this was wonderful. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of his work justice, I feel, in my own mouth, but I'll give an attempt on the bus for Ben by Stephen James Smith. I was on the bus, and this sunset, it screamed at me, reminding me of life, reminding me to shine, and I wanted to tell someone to look at it and gaze at it with me, but I paused, and the view, it had passed, confiscated by concrete, stolen by gravity. So I phoned a friend on a 50-50 chance that they would see my end, and I sent my friend a picture of it verbally. It was like a neon sign, I said. No, that is shit. It was like someone had gotten all the flamingos and pureed them, and concrete clouds, dark and dull, had puke-pulped guts glazed on their undersides and drips that drop into my eyes. I speak no lies, but the centre, the core, it was like fire. Yes, okay, I know that the sun is fire, but it was really like fire that was friendly and kind to touch, and that sunset, it touched me. So let it touch you, and accept love, and accept that things, they are intended to be given like beauty or a heart or life, but accept love. That's accept, ACCEPT. Let me just think here. There was a request for St. Kevin and the Blackbird. Which happens to be one of my favourite all-time poems, and definitely up there with one of my favourite Seamus Heaney poems, hands down. It's from The Spirit Level, which won him the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1995. And it references like a saint of Ireland who made his hermitage in Wicklow, County Wicklow, in a place called Glendalough, where, as the myth of his canonization goes, one of his miracles that he managed to pull off is he used to have a thing there called Kevin's Cell, like this little rock hut. And there's Kevin's bed also is a cave down there that rebels in the old times used to hide out in, because infantry couldn't really, and cavalry couldn't make their way through those hills. So it's an interesting historical place. But as the story goes, he was praying in this cell with his arms outstretched, and a bird landed in his hand, and he was moved to not move and to hold still. And as the story goes, he held still until the eggs were hatched and the chicks had grown and flown away. St. Kevin and the Blackbird. And then there was St. Kevin and the Blackbird. The saint is kneeling, arms stretched out inside his cell, but the cell is narrow, so one upturned palm is out the window, stiff as a crossbeam, when a blackbird lands and lays in it and settles down to nest. Kevin feels the warm eggs, the small breast, the tucked neat head and claws, and finding himself linked into the network of eternal life, is moved to pity. Now he must hold his hand like a branch out in the sun and rain for weeks until the young are hatched and fledged and flown. And since the whole thing's imagined anyhow, imagine being Kevin. Which is he? Self-forgetful or in agony all the time? From the neck on out down through his hurting forearms. Are his fingers sleeping? Does he still feel his knees, or has the shut-eyed blank of under-earth crept up through him? Is there distance in his head? Alone and mirrored clear in love's deep river, to labour and not to seek reward, he prays. A prayer his body makes entirely, for he has forgotten self, forgotten bird, and on the river bank, forgotten the river's name. I do love that. It's, I don't know, it's just rich with them. Is it John Montgomery? I heard him once referred to as the dark beneficence of God. The darkness, the giving darkness of God. Sweeney. I'll stick on the nature buzz. This is an excerpt from Sweeney Astray. So it's a about maybe 14th or 15th century poem, epic poem, Irish epic poem, based in County Antrim, or based on a king, a story of a king from County Antrim in like the 15th century, 14th, 15th century. And the story goes, Sweeney, Mad Sweeney, he's referenced in as a TV show that Neil Gaiman wrote or produced. Mad Sweeney, sometimes spelt like Suibhne, Suibhne. Anyway, he pisses off a cleric one day. He pisses off a holy man, like a bishop, who's he's a bit of a bastard to this holy man who's on Sweeney's in his lands measuring out space for a monastery. He doesn't take American Gods, that's the one. And he annoys this cleric. He actually kills some of his priests, some of his missionaries. This would have been based in a time when missionaries and kings, or missionaries and pagan warlords would have been at times not terribly friendly with one another. And so this holy man curses him, and he believes that he's a bird. Curses him into the belief that he is a bird, and he flits around Ireland, suffering loneliness and isolation and coldness, etc., etc. I believe that's the story. Yeah. And so that poem was translated by Seamus Heaney into Sweeney Astray. It was the end of the harvest season, and Sweeney heard a hunting call from a company in the skirts of the wood. This will be the outcry of the wee felon. Come to kill me, he said. I slew their king at Moira, and this host is out to avenge him. He heard the stag bellowing, and he made a poem in which he praised aloud all the trees of Ireland and rehearsed some of his own hardships and sorrows, saying, I've heard him recite this, where he refers to it as Sweeney praises the trees. The bushy, leafy oak tree is highest in the wood. The forking shoots of hazel hide sweet hazelnuts. The alder is my darling, all thornless in the gap, some milk of human kindness coursing in its sap. The black thorn is a jaggy creel, stippled with dark sloes, green water cress in thatch on wells where the drinking blackbird goes. Sweetest of the leafy stalks, the vetches strew the pathway. The oyster grass is my delight, and the wild strawberry. Low-set clumps of apple trees drum down fruit when shaken. Scarlet berries clot like blood on mountain rowan. Briars curl in sideways, arch a stickleback, draw blood and curl up innocent to sneak the next attack. The yew tree in each churchyard wraps night in its dark hood. Ivy is a shadowy genius of the wood. Holly rears its windbreak, a door in winter's face. Lifeblood on a spear shaft darkens the grain of ash. Birch tree, smooth and blessed, delicious to the breeze. High twigs plait and crown it, the queen of trees. The aspen pales and whispers, hesitates. 1,000 frightened scuts race in its leaves. But what disturbs me most in the leafy wood is the to and fro of an oak rod. Cool. Yeah, that's 1500s, I suppose. It's good. Nearly 600 years old. What did I say I was going to read? Oh yeah, I have a few more. There was a request by, I did see some requests for Maya Angelou. It's a beautiful poem, Touched by an Angel, by Maya Angelou. We, unaccustomed to courage, exiles from delight, live coiled in shells of loneliness until love leaves its high holy temple and comes into our sight to liberate us from life. Love arrives, and in its train come ecstasies, old memories of pleasure, ancient histories of pain. Yet if we are bold, love strikes away the chains of fear from our souls. We are weaned from our timidity in the flush of love's light. We dare be brave, and suddenly we see that love costs all we are and will ever be. Yet it is only love which sets us free. That is Maya Angelou, Touched by an Angel. Going to Target today, do y'all want anything? Well, Kit. Yes, I was trying to think of something. A salad spinner. That's right. I cannot dry my leaves quick enough. Let me tell you. That's what's been on my mind. Trying to rinse my fucking salad leaves. Nightmare. Thank you, Kit, by the way. I await its arrival. Tide Pods. What you guys up to for the weekend? Come on, Bright. Tell me all. Tell me some crazy shit you're gonna get up to. Tell me some debaucherous stuff. Thrill me. Thrill me with your plans. What are we looking at here? Talking about food prep. Garrison Keller. It's a lovely poem called Supper, which I read. I thought was quite sweet. Nice little love poem, Supper. You made crusty bread rolls filled with chunks of brie and minced garlic drizzled with olive oil, and baked them until the brie was bubbly, and we ate them lovingly, our legs coiled together under the table, and salmon with dill and lemon and whole wheat couscous, baked with garlic and fresh ginger, and a hill of green beans and carrots roasted with honey and tofu. It was beautiful, the candles, the linen, the silver, the sun shining down on our northern street, me with my hand on your leg, you, my lover, in your jeans and green t-shirt and beautiful bare feet. How simple life is. We buy a fish, we are fed. We sit close to each other, we talk, and then we go to bed. How's that for life? This is from 100 Love Sonnets. It's another Neruda poem. It's translated by Stephen Tapscott from the Spanish. And it is Sonnet 94, I believe. If I die, survive me with such a pure force, you make the pallor and the coldness rage. Flash your indelible eyes from south to south, from sun to sun, till your mouth sings like a guitar. I don't want your laugh or your footsteps to waver. I don't want my legacy of happiness to die. Don't call to my breast. I'm not there. Live in my absence, as in a house. Absence is such a large house that you'll walk through the walls, hang pictures in sheer air. Absence is such a transparent house that even being dead, I will see you there. And if you suffer, love, I'll die a second time. It's quite lovely. Noi. Where am I going? I think I had a T.S. Eliot poem. I do loves me some T.S. Eliot. This is from Ash Wednesday. It's just the first. It's just, I suppose, part one. Read the Bible. I could do that. I could read the Bible, but I think the passages I'd pick out would not be the ones that you'd be thrilled to hear. Ash Wednesday. Because I do not hope to turn again, because I do not hope to turn, desiring this man's gift and that man's scope, I no longer strive towards such things. Why should the aged eagle stretch its wings? Why should I mourn the vanished power of the usual rain?